again, friends. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for joining. It says there's a couple of people waiting, so welcome to another of my live streams. Please say hi in the chat, and, please sub and like if you enjoy the content. We are off to Copenhagen, where there should be an event later on. It hasn't started yet. I think it's due to kick off at 1400. Our estimated arrival is 15:17, with an estimated departure of 13:45, which we might be a little bit earlier. I don't think more than 20 minutes taxi. Anyway, here we are, stand 2 at Luton, where we left the aeroplane last time, a couple of days ago, after a pretty hectic journey to Luton and a very long day on Friday. I've managed to sort the joystick mount out, so that's a bit more secure now, so I've got no real excuses for poor hand flying. Pretty quiet here at Luton. There's only one aeroplane on stand and there was one taxiing along. There is sadly no ATC, so it's going to be quite quiet. Yeah, you got Wizz Air 353 over there and Golf Delta Hotel Whiskey Golf, which has just taxied to holding point Alpha 1. Beach 350. So that's it. Here we are. I've done nothing to the aeroplane apart from open the doors and get the ground handling. Open the front door, get ground handling opened up. I figured out the issue with no ortho at night. Sorry, no street lights with the ortho at night, despite, as you can see, having forests and overlays from ex-Europe, and that was just because I had the world objects set to low rather than medium to try and save the CPU a bit of load. So I've raised those, and I think we'll see how we get on. If it kills it, then I'm just going to have to close X-Plane and start again in future at night, so that we can get turn the ortho off, which I don't think you can do on the fly, which is a shame. Anyway, enough about my sad stories. Let's get into the airplane and get set up. So as you can see, full cold and dark here. Just set the switches as I like. I'm going to turn my monitor brightness up as well, because it's actually quite bright and sunny today, so that will help me be able to see. And I'm going to run through my abbreviated cold and dark start as I... Well, this is not... Let's get the mic in the right place. There we go. This is not the... This is not the full cold and dark setup, because you would of course go through the fire warning tests and everything else, but this will get you going knowing that no failures are going to creep up on you. So a few people have said they've had issues trying to figure out the flows and that sort of thing. So this should help. I know I rattle through it relatively quickly, but we've got all the lights on. Sorry, all of the panel lights turned up, so they will come straight on. We've got the position and strobe set to steady, ready for AC power, and in reality most crews will just leave that set to steady so that when AC power is applied the lights come on. Battery comes on first. I managed to see, I think somebody had managed to set that closed but still off. When you shut it, it should go off, so not armed should always be on for the emergency exit lights. At that point we can apply AC power. Lights come on, as you can see there, and we have got our lights on. So now we've got AC power, the first thing to do is to get the IRSs aligning. They need AC power to align, and they are aligning. If you are interested, you can look further up the panel here and you can get the status, and it will tell you how long it will take. 8 minutes at this latitude. That varies depending on how far away you are from the equator, because the IRSs need a certain amount of movement of the Earth to align, and obviously at higher latitudes the degrees, the distance it needs, the rotational velocity at that time is smaller, so it needs a lot more time to go through, I think. I'm going to stop talking about that anyway, because I'm distracting myself. Your damper can come on. So all the pumps can stay off while we refuel. I'm just working down this way. All of the navs and displays are set to auto or normal. Power we've applied. Drive you'd expect off. Cabin util and IFE are on. You can ignore this panel. Straight down here, belts are all off. Ignition right for the first start of the day. Diff pressure is 0, and the cabin altitude should match the airfield elevation, which is not shown here because it's hiding under that pointer. Some of the doors are open. We'll get the electrical pumps on so that the FO doing the walk around can spot any leaks. Pitot doesn't come on yet, but the window heat does, and that stays on throughout the flight regardless of temperature. Saw on the walk forums someone said about turning it on if it's cold. That just stays on from the gate to the gate. Trim air can come on. Cabin set. Packs can go to auto. I like to put the APU to the APU bleeder on at this point because you're definitely not going to forget it. And our initial setup, we can have a look at our cruise, and I'll try and zoom this in. I've had a look and to see that this is a bit small for some of you when it's on the screen. I appreciate my resolution is slightly wider, so you end up with this being shrunk down a little bit. I don't think you can zoom in on YouTube. Might start cutting the edge off, but then I've got to watch that I don't cut bits of the screen off. Anyway, our cruise is 350. We might go up to 37 because the headwinds are slightly less, but we can talk about that in the cruise. And our destination altitude 17 feet, so we can be altitude at 0, and that is the overhead set. And open up the rear door. And our scheduled push is at 2.5, so we can start getting the airplane low. So there is no ATC online, so we are going to self-clear. We've got a match 3 departure filed. Sorry, a match 1 Charlie departure filed from runway 08. I interestingly saw the last aircraft was taking off from 26, which I thought was a little strange. Not there anymore. Anyway, we'll get the ATIS, have a look. So let's get the weather first. Compare it with the VATSIM weather. Because I'm not sure what the source is for this. So 1250 Zulu, 1250 Zulu, 07012 is right, is the same. So it's clearly a 08 departure. I don't know why you would want to take off with 10 or 12 knot. Not far off all of that wind. Don't know why you'd want to take off with a 10 knot tailwind. So maybe just a bit gash. We might think about intersections as well, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. Anyway, back to the menu. Let's get the FMC set up. So first things first, position, initialization, Echo Golf Golf Ski. We are stand 2. Not that it actually matters. I'm just going to scribble down 1250 Zulu. 0712. Okay. No cloud detected. Temperature 9. Point of -1. Okay, 26, which I'll set in a moment. So GPS left goes into these required boxes, and we can pop the route in. We are off to Copenhagen, which is Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel KCH. Ryanair 41 Mike. And this is not a particularly long route, but I have exported it, so I am going to just load it up. Just to save as we are pushed for time, typing it in. So we still check it. Match Quebec 295, Bahrain, Mike 197, Redford, Lima 620, Tangsha. And you see there DCT means direct, DOSOR, and Papa 729 to Tudlow to Bravo to for Copenhagen. It's filed runway 12, that's a short cross runway, and I don't think we'll be using it unless the weather is mental there. So, I'm going to execute that at this point. 0 fuel weight. Now, we do need to load the aeroplane up. So, payload, we have 169 packs. See if this randomizes. Don't know if Zibo has implemented this now. Nope, still a sausage fest. I might suggest it. 2465, so let's put 2 tons in the back. No, that doesn't work. And we want 465 up the front. And that's giving us about a ton lighter than the payload, so I still need to work on the... that just comes from my little calculator, and I still need to work on the difference with SimBrief. Anyway. So we have loaded up the aeroplane, and let's just have a look. You go take off, and all the weights are within their respective bounds. So I just need to play these. Fuel, we have 2750 on board. Now I've put in half an hour additional reserve. Our alternate is Hamburg, and as you can see, it's 40 minutes away. But the weather is not too bad. That's only holding fuel just to keep us happy and safe, because we've got quite a lot of payload to play with. 8233. So let's put that in exactly and see what we get given. Fuel truck is there now. So, fuel is on the way. We are fueling. Probably not going to get off on time, but we don't have much of a taxi, so I'm not too fussed about being slightly late off blocks. So, 0 fuel weight is exactly as it says, that's the fixed amount. And 1.4 light. So I'm just updating this to 59.1. Our planned fuel, trip and taxi 4062. I call that 4.6 because it's not going to be a 20-minute taxi. You can see here the fuel on board is less than the fuel required, so that's a worrying situation, but we are fueling, so that's just one point at which to check. See that go up, there we go, so we're happy that that is increasing. Reserves 2710, and we'll round it up to 2.8 and then round it up to 2.9 again. That's the point at which the message will tell us using reserve fuel, which is a worrying message. It should prompt you to do something like divert. 350 we have. We're going to do that initially, but I think 37 might be better, so we'll have a look at the winds en route and we may climb up to 37 because it's still lower, but initially we'll do 35. Top of climb wind 038. 20, quite light today. Top of climb ISA is -3. That's our performance done. Insufficient fuel has gone in because you see there is lower, so that we are fueling. So, performance-wise, we have got the weather. So, takeoff calculator. I don't think the takeoff calculator is modelled in Zibo yet. So, I'm still using AppSoft Airplane Toolbox, which I have problems getting it up on screen. So, let's see if I can get it to work. There we go. There it is. So, anti-ice off, flap optimum, engine bleeds on, thrust optimum, runway 08, because the wind is 070 at 12. Now 68489 is going to be pretty spectacularly heavier than we're already going to be 1.4 tons lighter than that, and I think we're probably only going to burn half of that fuel. To keep it safe though, The safer side is to say that we're not going to burn any taxi fuel, and you'll remember that taxi fuel is 200 kilos, so our current zero fuel weight plus our fuel once it is loaded is going to be 59.1. Plus 8.2, which is going to give us 67.3, and that's what I'm going to pop in here, 673. That's slightly overestimated the weight, even though it is lower, so that will give us a slightly better margin without being too ridiculous. Now let's just refresh the VATSIM weather. That matches. We can calculate there, so it's giving us flap 5 and no selected temperature, so it's just a 22k D rate. So flap 5, we'll see if we need the full distance in a moment. 11772. So the assumed temp limit is 0, but the change is dry on the runway. Flap 5. 22k, which gives us 1772, 90.7, close enough. Should be a slight difference for the APU bleed. So flap 5, pop the in 070. Was right, wasn't it? Yeah, 12. Put the runway slope in, and it's relatively noise sensitive here, so we'll have our thrust reduction and our initial climb and 1500 acceleration, which gets the noise quieter but a bit further away from the airport. Anyway, our V speeds 142, 142, 48. I think that's just because we are still fueling, so that's still different. So those are the ones we'll use. So 142, 142, and you can see those are changing. 148 as the aeroplane is calculating it. So takeoff weight 67, so we've still got quite a bit more fuel to add. So I'll just wait to do that before go for the CG. And 1772, having a look at the chart, we can go from Bravo, or we can't go from Hotel. So that's fine. We don't need to backtrack and we don't need to turn around, which is ideal. So let's get rid of that. Maps off onto the OFP. And if you are watching below, please say hi, please like, please subscribe. And once the airplane has finished fueling, I will update that CG. It's already 13:25. Hello again, Rick. Good to see you. I'm not sure how much help I was looking at your videos, but there was a few tips in there. I think I wrote down a couple of things that we should talk about. One of them was altimetry. So I've already got the weather. 1026 is the QNH. You could, if you are using, it's interesting. Gonna check. Check active sky is running. Live real-time mode, X-plane connected. 1026. Weather does match, but we have got this difference here. Which, that might be runway, so I need to set 674. Okay, I can set the CG now. Don't need to verify those speeds because they've come from the calculator. So trim is 5.5. So we can set that. And let's updated. Good, there we go. Level change or VNAV or VS. Okay, Rick. Well, certainly, as I said in your video, don't use vertical speed for a climb unless you are only going up maybe a couple of thousand feet. If you're going from your initial altitude to your cruise, you really need to use either level change or VNAV, otherwise vertical speed will get you in a situation where you can potentially stall. But we'll talk about that on the climb out. So we've got a little bit of fuel in the centre tanks. And I'm just adding up how much we've got. So 390 plus another one. So 320, got 8140, which is a little bit less than I think what we asked for. 100 kilos less. Never mind. So we finished fueling. Get the pack sat down. Get fuel pumps on. So hydraulic pressure is fine. So yeah, from the weather, QNH 1026 we need to set on both of these, and then climbing to a flight level above the transition altitude is when we set standard for a flight level. So that's an important step about altimetry. The RSs of Alliance, I'm going to pop the flight directors on, and let's have a look at charts. So Echo Golf Golf Whiskey. I'm just going to bring up the airport chart. That's got your takeoff minimums and your takeoff distances. And then the match 1 Charlie, maybe we wanted the other one. That's what we're going to be doing. So it's similar to a Clacton departure for Stansted, at a slightly different altitudes, I think. So match 1 Charlie we have self-cleared. There is no ATC, still no ATC online. So step through these legs. Luton, 4 knots. 244 Mike. Match 1 Charlie, 08. 24. Now that's interesting. Straight ahead to 4 DME. Charlie. Oh, okay. I suppose it's doing it from that. No, it can't be. So that point is an interesting point. Seems to be in the right place though. Anyway, that's our departure. Our stop altitude is 5,000. We are going to be straight ahead to the to the NDB, and then we want Brookman's Park 1175. And on, so that I think is the ILS, so we 11455, which we can switch as we go. So Brookman's Park is tuned, we want to be 156 inbound. And the airport elevation 526, 1,000 above that, 1526. Minimum flat retraction, runway heading set, departure set, and we just need to pop our V2 of 148 in. Water brake, go to RTO. Confirmed we've got hydraulic pressure. So, let's get the pack sat down, get the APU on. We are essentially good to go. So as I said, our takeoff run is 1772 from the chart here, you will see that Bravo gives us 1982 available, so we're 200 meters clear of that. So we can go from Bravo, or we can backtrack and line up. That will take some additional time, and if it was busy, you certainly wouldn't do that. We'll just see what we get on with. There's not really much point. If you can make it, you can make it. That's why you need the calculator. So we're already a good 10 minutes behind for pushing. The APU is now on. The APU is on the bus, and the aeroplane is getting some cabin air. So let's shut the doors. Yeah, stairs up. Shut the front door. And we will pre-plan our push. I think something like that will do us.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
So we are online. I am going to call for the tow, so we don't hold anybody up.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
We are going to need to be on 122 decimate for Unicom. Sorry, I missed your question there, Rick. Do you need VNAV for descending? You don't need it, but what I did notice in your video was what you were doing was VNAV you were in, and as long as you set the FMC up and you step through it and you have a look at the legs, VNAV will take care of you. Sometimes it is a little bit glitchy, but what I saw you then doing, sorry, you'd set VNAV up and it was ready to go, and then you switch to level change to descent. Level change is fine for descent, and vertical speed is also fine for descent if you want to make a restriction using the green banana. But then what you did was you switched at points to...
Are closed, ready to connect.
You've switched at points to VNAV, and then the airplane has leveled off at a very random altitude. Because what you've now told it to do is re-intercept the profile. It's not going to climb, and it won't descend if you do that. It will just then fly level until it re-intercepts it. And that's what the little vertical profile indicator on the right hand side of the ND here is telling you. So it was higher than you were, and that's why it was doing that, essentially. So you can use all three of those modes, but try to adapt to what you want to achieve. And if you're going to use the automation, then VNAV will usually take care of you.
Connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking
So
brake.
we are good to push. Luton traffic. Good afternoon, Ryanair 4-1 Mike. Stand 2. Push and start. Facing southeast. We have self-cleared for push. 2007. Out off. Lights on. We'll wait for cabin secure. Good. So, cabin secure. Can get off the blocks. Brakes off.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
3-6. Bang on. It's a pretty short push. So, all those need to be on for the engine start. Should have turned that off. Don't have to, but it's a Ryanair thing. Packs go off. And we will start engine number 2. Make sure that speed brake is down. %, fuel on. So let me just get started up, Rick, and then I'll chat. So engine number 2 is now stable 246. As we stop, we'll start engine number 1. So 300 feet high is probably not the biggest deal in the world. And when you're looking to fly to an altitude, you can use VS or level change as
Operation
appropriate.
complete. Set parking brake.
So we'll start engine number 1. If you were genuinely just 300 feet high, I'm not quite sure how you would get 300 feet high, but you can just reselect using the altitude selector, select a gentle vertical speed, and it then should reacquire. So just looking for N2 here, 25, fuel on. If you're 300 foot above the profile on the ND, then you can either use speed brake, you could use level change with speed brake, you could increase speed using level change to try and get you back on profile, or you could increase the vertical speed, but all of those things will have an impact. So as you lower the nose, the speed will increase. So as a pitch mode, vertical speed will aim for the vertical speed, whereas level change will aim for the speed. And you can actually go quite high on level change with speed brake to get down if you really need to. So 3,000 feet, I'll have a chat about that in a second. All the engines are stable, going to run through the flow. So we're just holding on the flap. Is it disconnected? Did I miss it? He's still there. Why is he still there? Ah, because I was chatting and I hadn't set the parking brake. There we go. We are now set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So if you were 3,000 feet, VNAV shouldn't let you get 3,000 feet too high. But 3,000 feet would be probably a bit of a challenge to get back, depending on how far out you are. And the airplane, the aeroplane is quite slippery, and you'll struggle to lose that excess speed. So it really does just depend on the context. You could fly an orbit, you know, do a 180 and then come back. It's like an impromptu hold. Or in reality, ATC would usually vector you out if you were too high.
Tail is disconnected. A bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
What you are going to do is you're going to end up if you are in a high energy situation, there's only really, there's a maximum rate of descent that you can get. There's a max rate with speed brake, and if that still isn't going to achieve what you want, then you can either increase the speed, or you're going to have some extra track miles to lose that height. So there's the pin. Pumps on, flap 5. So flap 5 set, my controls full forward, to raise that up because that full forward is heating. Desk, full left, full right. Trim 5.5 set. Equals checked. So before taxi checklist, I'm just going to shut that up for a second. Gens on. Yes, APUs off, start switches, continuous. Probe heats on, anti-ice not required for this departure. Air conditioning, 3.7. That should be 3.5. Talking about 3.7 earlier. So 3.5 is set, so we check it again. Air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation valve, auto. Flap 5, green light, stab trim. 5.5 required here, 5.5 set. Flight controls checked, recalls checked, so we are ready to taxi. flaps 15. Okay, we'll talk about flaps maybe on the arrival, or we can talk in the cruise and we'll talk about it on the arrival. So, just going to make a radio call and we'll get going. Luton traffic, Ryanair 41 Mike, taxiing holding point Bravo 1 runway 08 via Bravo. So we have self-cleared taxi, lights on, clear left, clear right, look straight ahead, brakes off, config checked, no warning, off we go. So as it was difficult to see from your videos, but just as we've set V2 here for departure, on the init page for landing, there is a selection in the top left where you put the weight, and then it will give you the flap settings for 15, 30 and 40. That's your landing flap setting on the right hand side. That will correspond with the speed for the current weight unless you change it. If you do it for the current weight and you end up burning fuel, you'll just be a bit fast because you'll be flying slightly faster than you need to. But as long as you select one of those speeds, that will give you VREF on the approach. That will then calculate maneuvering speeds for each flap setting. And as you slow down, you should aim to extend the flap as you get to the maneuvering setting. So as the speed drops back here, as you're approaching the flap up speed, you can then hit flap 1 and then match speed to the flap for what you're aiming for. Of course, it's quite a bit of a challenge in this aeroplane because it is so slippery. So the flaps don't work automatically. You've got to control the flaps entirely in the real aeroplane. It's lever here. There's only 2 of you and nothing else that will put them out for you. The spoilers will deploy automatically if you arm them, but flaps won't. So we're taxiing along here. Make sure we don't go down hotel because then we will end up going off the end of the runway. So that's ready on the departure. See what the traffic's like. So we don't want to be going that way. Going around here. It's not that long a taxi. We're only actually going to be a couple of minutes late despite all my faff and chat. So RML nav. Get the cabin secure.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
So we are ready to go. Luton traffic, Ryanair 41 Mike, lining up runway 08 via Bravo 1, match 1 Charlie departure. So we have self-cleared, checked, responders on, no idea what that guy's talking about. So just having a look around, can't see any traffic either way.
Approaching 08.
And we are 30. Literally cheeky drift there. Anyways, left turn 075 for the runway heading.
On runway 08.
Let's get the airplane stopped and sorted out because I'm not lining up. So holding on the toe brakes, we have got 3850, 3860 and 8. 320, 40% N1. Let the engines stabilise. Stable. Thrust. Toga. 1347 time. So keeping the aeroplane straight with rudder now rather than the tiller. Forward pressure on the control column until 80 knots.
80 knots.
It is checked. Of course, as we speed up, the rudder inputs get gradually smaller and smaller.
V1 8.
1,000, 2,000, 1,000.
Positive
10
rate.
degrees through the dead band and up to about 15. Positive rate, gear up.
400.
On nav.
$1,000.
So there's the thrust reduction. And you can see the ortho looks pretty good. So let's buck the airplane up. A little bit low. Flap 1. Command A. As we pass flap 1, and this is one thing that you need to look for, Rick, because I don't know at what point you got flap 1 out, but it was certainly a bit too early and you had your gear up all the way. So it's a little bit sketchy. So that is drawn incorrectly. It's correct that we should be going over the NDB before we turn. So as we get to flap up, I'm going to accelerate through that turn. After takeoff checks, auto brake off, flap up, no lights, gear up and then off. Start switches,
1,000 to go.
back to continuous. Cabin can be released. 4 pumps on. Lift pressure's increasing. Check the recall. After takeoff checks, the aeroplane is porpoising a little bit. So we're going to level off at 5. I haven't had a chance to look at the traffic yet. And I'm going to put the aeroplane in VNAV now, so that'll take us up to 250 as per the SID. I'm going to have a look at the traffic because what I don't really want to do is be flying this at 5,000 all the way. Could have done that a little bit earlier, but explaining being a little slow. So, having a look, Luton, not a lot of traffic around, so let's give ourselves something like 580. So, we've got all of these altitude restrictions and we're going to have to get rid of all of them to get a climb going on. Inbound to Clacton is going to be 083. Clacton tuned. So to get rid of all those restrictions, we're in VNAV. I'm now going to press out into vent because I'm on my joystick, and you'll see the first one disappears. Second one disappears. The final one disappears, so there was no point because of all those restrictions. Until you get rid of all of them, the aeroplane is not going to climb. Now I could have done that in level change and the aeroplane would have climbed immediately as well, but if you're in VNAV, that's one way to do it, and it will now respect all of the restrictions. So 250 there. Now we've cleared ourselves to a flight level, so because we've passed the transition altitude of 6,000 feet, which is listed on the chart here, 6,000 is the point at which you need to change over. Because we've been cleared, we now set standard and we're now flying off flight level. And is there any ATC on? No. So you can see Ortho's pretty good. This is zoom level 17 for the whole of the UK. With ex-Europe over the top for the overlays of the roads, because you can see they're a bit different. So I didn't put the cruise out, I just put an increase. So imagine air traffic control had cleared us to climb flight level 180, set 180, it's not our final cruise just yet, and then because of where we were, I had to get rid of 1, 2, 3 altitude restrictions before the aeroplane started climbing. I did that using this button here, out into vent, but I've mapped that to a key on my keyboard because from this position it's almost, you can't reach it. Anyway, flight level 100, the aeroplane should bug up to its most efficient climb speed there, 285. It does seem to be porpoising a little bit. And passing 100, so 6 pumps can go on. Use up what little fuel is in those tanks. Forward-facing lights can go off. Diff pressure is increasing. The cabin should start to climb. It hasn't just yet. Not to, but crew packs can be out. Check the recall. Away. And whenever you're in VNAV, out into vent. So if I was to bring this down to 12,000, the aeroplane would stop at 120 in VNAV because it respects this altitude. And if I then wanted to climb again, if I then set it back to 18, it wouldn't climb until you press out into vent. If you were in level change, it would go to altitude hold mode. You have to then reselect a new altitude, press level change, and then the aeroplane would start climbing again. It wouldn't be 180 this way, so let's stop at 1.5 and I'll just demonstrate that, seeing as it's not real fuel. So at the moment, Rick, I'm just talking about climbs. We'll talk about descent when we get to the descent because it might just be a little easier to see. So, and don't just rely on the lights here to tell you what's going on. LNAV, VNAV speed is what the modes that we're in at the moment, so VNAV and LNAV. We're going to get an altitude alert.
1,000 to go.
So, we're still in VNAV. We're still in the climb phase, we're still in climb mode. You can't climb here. If you set to init ref when you depart, it will automatically go to climb. Anyway. So you can see that the aeroplane has now respected that altitude there, despite our final cruise being 370. It has now levelled off at 15,000, flight level 150, because we're on standard, and it's now in VNAV out mode. So that's the aeroplane stabilised again. We want to go up to our final, or any increase. So it's busy in London. Let's say we get given flight level 230. I can either climb using level change. If I press level change at this point, the aeroplane will climb. Or I can again go over here, press out into vent, and the aeroplane will remain in VNAV, but it will go from VNAV out to VNAV speed. It's now going to climb in speed mode, so it's going to prioritise maintaining 285 knots in the climb, and it will get whatever rate of climb it can get. So it doesn't matter. This will gradually reduce as you get higher, and the engines become slightly less efficient because there's less air, less power produced. This will gradually reduce down as we climb, but it doesn't care, it's prioritising the speed. That's what stops you from stalling. If you go to VS and you set 2000, initially you'd have excess power. At the moment we're climbing at full power, full available climb power. The airplane will keep climbing at that power setting, but it will maintain the speed, so this rate of descent will reduce as we get higher and higher. So there is another aeroplane near us.
Traffic.
So one thing you could do at this point is reduce that rate of climb. Now the aeroplane is in VS mode. you see that has then intervened to reduce our rate of climb, so we're less of a conflict. Don't know where he just went. And now you see that the power has dropped off here. So we're not using full climb power. The aeroplane will set this and it will maintain it. But if I set it too high, the aeroplane won't be able to maintain that speed. So if I set it to something like 2,700, the aeroplane is throttling up, but look what's happening to the speed. The speed is dropping off, and it will continue to do that because we are telling the aeroplane that that is what we want it to do and forget everything else. That's the only mode that matters. Of course, if that continues for too long, the aeroplane will stall. So we can go back to level change. The aeroplane will now pitch to make that speed and then pitch back up, passing 200. Let's set 270, that's an odd number. Do another 10 check. So diff of 6.8, cabin is now climbing quite steeply. Low pressure warning pumps off. And you can see now the aeroplane has pitched to regain that speed, and any excess power will go to the climb rate, which we can at the moment only really maintain about 2,100 feet a minute. You'll see that will gradually decreasing. So there is no difference in the climb versus level change at VNAV. So either one of those, if VNAV is set up correctly, VNAV will sort you out. VNAV will also respect altitude restrictions, level change won't. Level change will just take us to 27,000. Good thing there is an ATC. Talking for quite a bit. And that's climbing, so that's why climbing on vertical speed is quite dangerous. If you're not flying online and you don't care about airspace and there's no other traffic, you can just set your cruise straight away, set your level change, and the aeroplane will take care of the rest. Now, of course, if you set level change with a speed that's too low or too high, it won't be efficient. So that's where VNAV gives you the target speeds based on your cost index. That's your most efficient climb speed. But usually anything in the range of sort of 270 to 290 works out depending on weight. We should dig it all out with manuals, but there's that guy out to there. I'll wait to see. No, there he is. And that should be British Airways, and it is. That's quite cool. This is why flying on VATSIM is quite nice. So that's Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel. Oh, he's going from Heathrow to Copenhagen. So I guess he may have filed. So I haven't booked. We could end up being told off for not booking. But I didn't really see any slots that I liked. Oh well. That's where I want to go. So let's imagine we're now cleared to climb 350. So because we're already in, let's go back to VNAV. So see nothing changed there. You can see the rate of climb is dropping off. That's why if you set it to 2,000 problems. So that's enunciated for 10 seconds to say the mode has changed to VNAV speed. Let's go 350. That's our final cruise. Set once, set twice, and set here. Magenta, cruise out 350. So once we reach that point, the aeroplane will go into cruise. If you were in level change, it won't. It would just go into MCP speed mode and maintain the speed you'd set, which is not ideal because the speed will be a little bit quicker. It will be a Mach once we get slightly higher. Our cruise, as you can see, climb is 754,285. Cruise is 287,756, so slightly quicker because of the low cost index. If you're flying at cost index 30, it's probably going to be more like 78 and 295, something like that. So it would leave you in an inefficient situation. Anyway, all that talking means I've done none of the flight log. So we took off at 4:07, which was 2 minutes late. So difference between level change. Level change is a pitch mode, and VNAV has got 3 modes. I'm saying 3 modes: VNAV out, VNAV speed, VNAV path. So on the climb, it's VNAV speed. In the descent, it will be VNAV path. When it captures, it will be VNAV out. So when we're in the cruise, it can do all of those things. Level change. If the MCP altitude is set higher than your current altitude, it's level change in a climb. It will apply full throttle to whatever the bug is set to, full climb thrust. It will take you to that altitude at the speed that you select. In the descent, if this is set lower than your current altitude and you select level change will pitch for the speed that you select. So in a descent, if you wanted to descend at 285 with level change, it will idle the throttles all the way, pitch the nose down to maintain that speed, and you will get in level change whatever rate of climb or descent that speed gives you. So the only way to change the sorry about that stutter there. The only way to change that is to change your speed, and that will indirectly affect your rate of climb or descent. So we're at the most efficient climb at the moment. If we pitch up further and therefore slow the aeroplane down, initially it will increase and then it will decrease lower. If we pitch the nose down to increase speed, initially it will reduce, and then once it goes back into the climb, it will go back to what it was. So that's why VNAV is useful to tell us what the efficient, most economical climb speed is. You can have max rate, max angle. Don't think they're modelled. Max rate will get you greatest altitude gain in the shortest amount of time. Max angle will give you the steepest rate of climb if you want to clear obstacles, etc. So yeah, all these modes are, there's quite a few of them, they're all quite different and they take quite a bit of reading up on if you want to get familiar with them and practice as well. So last 10 check, 3.5 set, diff of 7.8 max diff, and the cabin is still climbing and it is pressurizing. 4 pumps, no lights, thus on our way. Interesting routing for the other guys that are off to Copenhagen. There's different FIR exit points. Sadly, not much else online. So, yeah, just have a look on VATScope to see. So there is 1491 pilots online at the moment, 186 controllers, top people. So Copenhagen, 63 arrivals. It's going to get busy. Wow, this could be quite interesting. Hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea. One of the best resources I think you can. One of the best resources I think is there's a website called Flaps to Approach, and somebody that built their own 737 sim. Got quite a few articles on things like auto throttle, but they're quite digestible, easy to read. So have a look for that. I will. Sorry, that's just because I went back onto the desktop. Flaps to Approach. There's something you need in own time. Really useful resource. Anyone else that is watching, so please say hi. If you ask any questions you may have, I'll try and answer them as best I can. see the green banana is being shown, and that just corresponds to whatever this is set to. It's in moving. So we will get to see, well, we're on our way to VRYR. VRYR is the FIR boundary. Schiphol is not online. Amsterdam radar. No one to talk to at the moment. There was the altitude alert for cruise. Scribble down top of climb, which 19 minutes, 20 minutes. We did have that little bit of a level off a chat, so 2 minutes late on that. So I'm just writing these down. Get rid of the charts, just write these down on OFP. So that will give us an idea of how we're doing when it comes to ETAs and everything else. You can see there should have been 19 minutes to 21. Scroll down what fuel we've got so we can see how much fuel we've burned. If we're burning too much. So we've got 06, so 6360 versus 6373. It'll probably even out and be a bit more economical cruise. The thing I was going to do was have a look at the winds. So 020 is the wind, so actually it is a little bit less up there. And having a look, our optimum 379. So I think we will go to that slightly early. VRYR 019, 17, 15. Much difference there. A little bit of a difference there. So I mean, is it going to make the difference in the climb? How much fuel we're going to use to climb up 2,000 feet? Not quite sure, but I think it's worth having a look and showing you do a step climb. So if we're going up to 370, we can set 370 on the MCP. You see nothing has changed because we're now VNAV path. If we want to get the aeroplane to climb, it will not climb at econ climb speed, it will climb at cruise speed now, so it will maintain 0.76. So if we now select out into vent, see the engines throttle up, the aeroplane pitches to maintain that speed, go up to 370. Set pressure controller to 370, the cabin out will climb ever so slightly. And because I've pressed out into vent, the cruise altitude has now updated itself here. If you were to do that manually using VS or level change, you would have to then update the cruise altitude here. So I'm pretty sure SimBrief would have worked out that it wasn't actually worth burning the extra fuel in the climb, the extra 2,000 feet to offset change of winds. But the winds are slightly less, and I might as well show you how to do a step climb. So I'm just running through log, dropping down times at each leg.
1,000 to go.
Right down the overhead. Tacker, the time and the fuel. As long as you write the actuals in, fill the rest in and work it out. So at Tacker we should now be in Hanover UIR. But told to contact anyone, don't think there's anyone online. So there we are, overhead Tacker, and so we're bang on schedule with 6200 on board, so we're now about 70 kilos surplus. Going direct to Dosor, which is 17 minutes en route. So just filling these boxes in. See 6.2 were, despite actually being slightly less long fuel, made up quite a bit. So back to the first page, and this is why it's good to do this, because you will get an idea of using the weather, are you on time or not. 49 overhead Brooklands Park, 5-1 at 5-2 at Match, 5-5 at Brain Gasper, 5-6 Ratlow at 40.02. .06 top of climb. So, Telline is, we're not in the Hanover UIR yet. We should be crossing the boundary at 14.32. Saw 14.49, okay. And winded all of the waypoints on the route wind. So my prediction may be slightly out. And we enter the Copenhagen FIR at that point. That's when it should be some ATC, and it looks like they are all on, which is good. We can just pop on the screen. We made a dose on, so that's where we're at. On, showing where we are. So top of descent is estimated at 14.52, too long. So 15.19 at Kastrup. I have no idea where we've gone now. There it is. It's kind of screen, got that displayed. Okay, okay. Guess I can't have both on screen anyway. That's our routing. Let's get rid of that for a moment. Difficult bit is operating OBS. Maybe I should use. I've thought about using another PC for it, since I've got one that's actually doing auto at the moment, generating. I'm not sure that would help. It make controlling the stream a bit easier, but I think I need a monitor, you know, a bit too much like hassle. Anyway, we can use our progress page to see how we're getting on. 15.24, and our estimate is 1519. Again, just because it's not quite winded. We haven't put the arrival or anything. The arrivals are pretty much all vector arrivals into Castrop. So, KTH, Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. The arrival that we've got filed is any one of the Tudlows, because they all go to a different runway, so there's only like 1 November R now. So we filed for, I think it was Tudlow 2 Bravo. Designated just determines the runway. So let me just check that and pull that up. But look, I think we may get the R-navs unless they're nighttime only. So not to be used for flight planning, but actually this might be more likely, or will it? VATSIM controllers like to vector, so you can see here that this would probably give you an interesting pickle, Rick. That wasn't a joke, but I don't know, really didn't think that one through, but anyway, pickle Rick. Tudlow's where we're going to go to, and we will probably get vectored anyway, so it's just going to take us, and then it's going to be listed as vectors, and until we know which runway we're going to get, we can't really make much more of this. All we can do, expect that 2 Delta, depending on the runway, V0 is going to be this runway, and you can see that 1-2 is this one, going right to left, which was the one that SimBrief filed for. There's no way we're going to be using that runway, because unless the wind is stocking, it's A, going to be a bit too short, and it's probably not going to have enough capacity. So, depending on where the wind is coming from, I think we will get anything that is not 2 Delta, so flight level 110 probably do us. Really do need it. So, why don't we have a look and get current weather. I can cheat and get, can't get it from VATSIM. So 150 at 10 knots, you can see why it planned for 1-2. The wind is going to be coming not from here but from about here, which is going to give us a headwind on these runway component anyway. 10 is relatively light. You can see 1040, we can put the descent forecast, because we're still quite a relatively long way out from top of descent. And that point will probably move anyway. We've got the top of the descent forecast with distance and time to go here. Current wind as well. Here you can see, is it a crosswind? Headwind, crosswind. And you can put in time to waypoints. I think that's been updated so it works. But that's the progress page we're really going to use. Estimate times. Time overhead the last point with how much fuel. Time overhead the next with how much fuel. How much fuel on arrival. So one thing you weren't doing, I don't think, Rick, was popping in your approach gross weight. And to get that, at the moment, that's our current weight, 65 tonnes. We're obviously going to burn some before we get there. We're going to burn almost 2 more tonnes, so we'll be down at 63. So you asked earlier about how to get the flap reference speeds. To select one of these, you double tap it, it will then pop into the flap speed. They're now here. PFD, now flap 30, 148 reference. That's the minimum approach reference speed. You don't fly the approach at that. You fly it either 5 knots faster or more depending on the wind. it's half the steady headwind component up to maximum 20 knots. Half the steady headwind and all of the gusts. So if you've got a 10 knot headwind, it's 5 knots. If you've got 20 knot, it's 10 knots. Got a 20 knot headwind, gust 25, then it's half the headwind of 20, giving you 10, plus all of the gust of 5, giving you plus 15. You can put that in there. That only matters for the dual channel approach, but it's something that you need to mentally add to the flap speed so that you get the right one. But obviously 65 is what we're at now, so that would be too fast. Our predicted fuel on arrival is 3.8, the difference between that is 2.1, so we can go 62.9 as our expected landing weight. You can see that that changes by 3 knots. That's the flat reference speed at that speed. Again, double tap it to load it up and it will show you the updated VRYR here. And that's probably the most important thing for approach, getting that speed correct. Anyway, having a look at some approaches, I did say, well, we got the weather, and I have a feeling that that would be the landing, that would be the takeoff. Whereas if you're going this way, that's going to be the landing, and that's going to be the takeoff, I think, at Copenhagen. Of course, you have got airport reference charts here through, and I'll see if I can find the one that actually says, briefing chart that says runway, preferential runway system. Oh, actually the first one. So, noise abatement, blah, preferential between 06, so during the day. That is us. Runway 04 left and right, 22 left and right, preferential runways for takeoff and landing. 04 left right is use. 04 right shall be used for takeoff, left for landing, which is sensible and makes sense. And other way around, 22 left for landing, 22 right. So I think 22 right, left in use. So we go back and pick 22 left to right, Charlie, Foxtrot. But I think we're going to get to load to Foxtrot. So let's pop that in. This is the important bit, Rick, about setting up for the approach. And this was what will help VNav figure out what we're doing. So to load to Foxtrot, it's 2-2. And if we have a look at the approach chart, it's 2-2. 2-2 left in this case. Weather looks good enough, there's not going to be a Chem 2 or 3. There's the transition. So if we were to use that transition, those vectors would disappear, it would take us straight overhead the airfield and then take us out on its procedural approach, straight to the VOR and then out. That's not going to happen, so I'm not going to put that in. So there will be here, this bit vector, next bit speed restriction. So this is probably not the best one to show you, Rick, for how VNav works, because we're probably just going to have to build the profile backwards based on ATC, but pretty happy that it's going to be our arrival. And looking at the legs again to load flight level 219, core 110 below. So course 110 below, that's correct. 250 below, and that's correct because max 250 from that point onwards. There is a hold at Lugas, which we may end up using. Talk about a hold holds, they're relatively easy to put in. Having a look at this specific hold, blue gas is the point. There is no distance, and it is just a 8073 hold inbound, 253 outbound. And there's no other information, so that's just going to be a standard hold, 1 minute turns, 1 minute legs, 1 minute turns. It's not going to help. So that's me thinking about the approach. And have a look if you want to step through it. There's our next waypoint, Dorsa. Top of descent. VNav is taking care of the aeroplane at that point. So it started descending. Talsa 330 is what it's predicting to be at. This is not a hard altitude, this is just where the aeroplane thinks it will be. Tudlow, gas, and then 110 below, because it likes to be nice and efficient. It will keep us as high as possible for as long as possible, so don't be surprised if that's actually at flight level 110. Vectors, there is nothing to do with vectors, they just go shooting off into the distance. So because that doesn't help us build our profile, I'm going to build something in. We could go all out and really try and figure out our vector points and a base leg down here and all of this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a point, let me say something, good for custom waypoints. This waypoint here, intercept of about 30 degrees. So 217. I mean, actually, due might be fine. It might be more like 20. Wow. Would you know your descent rate? 3,000 feet. I'm not sure. I quite understand that question. This is a hard altitude, so VNav will try and build a profile. I'm going to get rid of the vectors just to show you. VNav will try and build a profile that will get us to that speed at that altitude at that point. So all you've got to do is reduce the MCP down to 3,000 and it will get you there. VNav is not perfect, so it may get it slightly wrong. But what I'm going to do is just build a point in just so we have a bit more situational awareness. So 217, about 30 degree intercept is we'd be coming down 7. So if we go this waypoint here, 007, 5 miles, that's bearing and distance. If I put that in there, that's created a custom waypoint, you see that? Now, move that discontinuity, that puts that in. And then maybe another 5-10 miles. So if I put a waypoint 90 degrees off of that one, already got 007. If we go 27 and 277, no, that's still not right because 007 is 30. We need 60 off of that. Done 30, 190 off of that point. So 307. Go from that custom point, 07, another 5 miles. That's then given us 5, 5 square. You might not get this from ATC, but now you're starting to see that that's a hard altitude. The aeroplane will be at that altitude. This is what it expects to be, passing these points and enjoying this one. Overwrite the vector straight from the VOR. We might not get these vectors, but this is not terrible, and this is going to give us an idea of where we think we should be, give VNAV something to go off of rather than vectors. Pop that in and execute it. You see the plan now changes, and we get these little points. So we're going to be stepping along to the VOR, and then if this was what we were to be flying, which is actually something that I'd probably be tempted to build myself if I was offline controllers, this is going to bring us in on a nice intercept for the ILS on that runway. If it all goes wrong and they are flying off a different runway, then we could just about try and figure this out, but probably wouldn't be worth it. You just have to suck it and see. So what I will do is, if we get ATIS, we can 12275. Don't know if ATIS has been struggling. No, that's good. So they're just getting the beginning of that. Well, that gives me a headache. So good, I've picked the right runway based on the information that we've got. You could always cheat and use flight radar, but perhaps not at the moment. So we know we're going to get something like this, and as you can see, I've planned for something that's a bit more like that. We could have plumbed this in because we might get something similar. It would be unreasonable. But I think it's going to be quite busy, so we'll just have to see what we get. So now that we've got the runway loaded in the arrival here, our init ref populates it with the runway, 22 left, distance available, 10,800 feet, 3295 meters, the ILS frequency and course, and the identifier. So we're going to have a think about setting that up now. So 109.5 the ILS. Pop that ready on both. I think I'm going to want to have the Castro VOR, because that's not the MSA for this bit, but it's far off. We're going to get to this VOR and head off somewhere. So actually, let's have 2.8 over 2 and the Castro VOR 2. 2.5. 2.17. is the ILS. Get 031 bound. Initially. So we could also put that in. So we can do 10 miles of that, for instance. We're looking on the legs. Core VOR 031. So select core or type it in. 031. 10 miles. I want to put that in there. So core, that's the next point. Close that discontinuity. Have a look on the plan. See, I've added that new waypoint in. Dashed. Because I think it's something similar. Could execute that. See, with a little bit further out, so those end up a little bit higher. I'm going to have to see what we get given. But at least we've tried to build something like that's what we should be given, but it might not be, in which case we could just go roughly direct. And even if they vector us out here, it's going to give us something to go off for the vertical profile. Of course, it's a lot easier if you're just not online doing it yourself. Go direct, do the procedure, you could just go straight out and in. Those intercept headings will be useful. Those custom waypoints are useful if you are wanting to intercept relatively reasonably to give the aeroplane a fighting chance of catching. So we've still got a fair amount to fill in. So 21 minutes into flight, top of climb. 08, which was +2. You're already too late, +2 again. +4 late, top of climb. Took off with 20 kilos more than predicted. Only burned 110. So we have to talk to somebody soon, so I am going to make a quick toilet break. Three of us. These two guys here, they're also on their way in. So speaking to someone. So just go. Did I manage to? I've had ATC muted, which doesn't really matter because we didn't have any ATC. Let's have a look at the ortho. Oh, that is looking bad. That square there. Think about redoing that. Interesting. It's just a texture issue. Shame. See the other guys over here. Behind us. So there's one. There's the other. It's much further back. Oh, I'm getting hassled already. 2605. Quickly to the toilet.
One Copenhagen control, good afternoon, identified.
Good afternoon.
I'll tell you what, call up first. So let's just scribble anything we need. Copenhagen control, good afternoon, Ryanair 41 Mike. Flight level 370, Dosur.
Ryanair 41 Mike, Copenhagen control, good afternoon, score 2024.
Score 2024, Ryanair 41 Mike.
EC 86 Quebec Foxtrot, contact Copenhagen control, 133.150, bye-bye.
133.150, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
Ryanair 8 Sierra Tango, shoulder Lima airspace, Unicom 122.8, have a safe flight.
Monday, Unicom 122.8, thank you for your service, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Copenhagen afternoon, Speedbird 816, flight level 350, inbound to Trudlo.
Speedbird 816, Copenhagen control, good afternoon, identified flight level 350. Turn left heading 030.
Turn left heading 030, Speedbird 816.
It's alright, bit of cloud.
Copenhagen Airways, Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, flight level 350, Trudlo.
First Ryanair 41 Mike, identified flight level 370. Expected to go to Foxtrot arrival for runway 22 left. When ready, descend flight level 280.
Expecting to load 2 Foxtrot, 22 left, Copenhagen. When ready, descend flight level 280, Ryanair 41 Mike. I'm just going to go for a quick pee, not tell them. It's probably not going to talk to us. So we have been cleared.
Welling 82
280.
good afternoon.
Tune that in and then we'll do the performance when I get back.
Speedbird 86 Quebec, correction, Kilo Hotel, Copenhagen control, good afternoon, identifying flight level 350. Expect the total to Foxtrot arrival for runway 22 left.
Total to Fox 22 left, Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel.
Ryanair 41 Mike, proceed direct to Luton. Ryanair 41 Mike, next time please request before leaving the cockpit. Proceed direct to Trudlo.
Good evening, Copenhagen. From Lot 85, and I'd like to see flight level 370.
Lot 8598, Copenhagen control, good afternoon, identified. Speedbird 816, turn right heading 050.
Turn right heading 050, Speedbird 816.
Speedbird 816, you can expect the Tutlo 2 incursion, Tutlo 2 Foxtrot arrival for one way 2 to left.
Tutlo 2 Foxtrot arrival, landing 22 left, Speedbird 816.
Slot 85, am I right? Can we get take cockpit 45 minutes? Slot 8598, affirmative over back.
Copenhagen control, good afternoon. Scandinavian 2777 out of flight level 10 for 280 inbound upset.
Scandinavian 2777, Copenhagen control, good afternoon. Identified flight level 340, proceed direct good path.
Just had the microphone off.
Level 340 and proceed direct path. Scandinavian 2777.
So descent-wise, we think we're going to use about 700 kilos, which takes us down 634. So we pop that one. So having a look at the performance calculator, 322 left, optimum 634. Up-to-date weather gives us vRYR 146, yes, EAP 151. So the standard +5 because it's mostly crosswind. Giving us auto brake 2273 220 3677 X12.
Speedbird 816, when ready, continue descent, caution when ready, descent, flight level 280.
Descent flight level 280, Speedbird 816.
So having a look at the airport, so we can think about town approach is going to
Lufthansa 236, European inbound Zibo, lobby 3 Sierra, arrival for runway 21.
Cleared.
There's the airport.
Arrival for
As one said.
3 Lufthansa 236.
Lufthansa 236, just confirm runway 21.
That is affirmative 21. We can expect Lufthansa 236.
Lufthansa 236, proceed direct lobby.
Proceed direct lobby 236.
So I think we're still streaming. I wonder if Navigraph has got a problem. Charles N. Yes, I can. Fine.
Speedbird 816, contact Copenhagen 133.150, have a safe landing.
133150, Speedbird 816, connect.
Okay. Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, when ready, descent flight level 280.
When ready, descent flight level 280, Speedbird 86 kilo.
So I don't think we can get these charts, which is a problem. At least we've got approach.
Copenhagen, good afternoon. Speedbird 82 Kilo, flight level 370, inbound Tudlo.
Speedbird 82 Kilo, Copenhagen Control, good afternoon.
So it's a little bit steep.
Expected Tudlo 2 Foxtrot arrival for runway 2 to left. Report ready for descent.
Roger, Tudlo 2 Foxtrot, 2
So
to left.
we're going to settle this down because it would just keep diving for that profile otherwise.
Scandinavian 64 kilo with you, flight level 370.
Scandinavian 64 Kilo, Copenhagen Control, good afternoon. Identified. Expected Tudlo 2 Foxtrot arrival for runway 2 to left.
Expected 202 Foxtrot arrival, runway 2 to left. Scandinavian 64 kilo.
Speedbird 818, Copenhagen Control, good afternoon, identified, expected to go 2 Foxtrot arrival for runway 2 to left, report ready for descent.
2 correction, 2.2 Foxtrot, 2 to left, and welcome Speedbird 818.
Ryanair 41 Mike, Copenhagen Control 133.150, bye-bye.
Copenhagen 133.15, thanks for service. Have a great day, Ryanair 41 Mike.
You too, bye-bye.
Copenhagen Control, good evening. Correction, good afternoon, Ryanair 41 Mike. Passing flight level 318, descending flight level 280, direct to Luton. Check got the frequency right. 13315. So, what do we have? Just looking at distances, high speed taxiways.
EC86 Quebec Foxtrot, descent flight level 80. Descent flight level 80, EC86 Quebec Foxtrot.
Copenhagen, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Ryanair 41 Mike, descent flight level 100.
Descent flight level 100, Ryanair 41
1,000
Mike.
to go.
Foxtrot.
I believe that was descent flight level 100 and 2 Foxtrot arrival, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Over. Copenhagen 3816, any luck yet?
So, with all of that, got a little bit distracted. We're now below profile.
Descent, I need you to support white ident once more. And another ident, the Ryanair 41 Mike you're talking to, whereabouts 20 miles west of this position, level flight. Yeah, I believe so. I have to confirm you're walking 6246. Nathan, we are squawking 6246, Speedbird 816. Speedbird 816, descent flight level 100. Descent flight level 100, Speedbird 816. Copenhagen 76 Papa, flight level 16, inbound to Luton.
So let's get the airplane settled down.
Danish 76 Papa.
It does not help that the charts are not showing. Okay, now I've got the charts. So Bravo 4 is the high speed. We are well low on profile.
Copenhagen hello, Speedbird 86 Kilo, Hotel descending to flight level 310 for 280 pound to Luton.
I'll start bringing it back.
All stations, I just have to restart the scope here, standby.
So auto brake wise to get to Bravo 4. Take off. Bravo 4. Right, the note for high speed taxiway. Note. So there we go, let's go VNAV at that point. The airplane get back into VNAV path.
Speedbird 816, I'm Copenhagen Control. Go ahead, Speedbird 816. Yeah, that helps a lot. Identified continued descent, flight level 80. Cleared inbound, Monarch 2 Foxtrot, right to left. Descent flight later, and maybe into a 2 Foxtrot.
So I'm not quite sure.
Alright, you are flying.
About half the runway length.
Toronto, Speedbird 816, proceed Toronto for Monarch 2 Foxtrot. No, we're not on the Monarch side, we're not coming from Codan, we're on the Trudlo side. Yeah, but you're flying parallel to a couple of other aircraft here. Proceed direct to Toronto, please. Okay, then we fly the Monarch 2 Foxtrot. Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, identified, descent flight level 100.
So just get these loaded.
100, speedbird at 86 kilo.
And I reckon it's half the runway, so 15, 17. So Bravo 4 I think we can make if we use. We'll go for auto brake 3. Checked.
Copenhagen flag speedbird 818 with you passing 310 for 280.
That's a voice I recognise from London.
Speedbird 818, identified descent flight of 100, cleared inbound, Copenhagen via 202 Foxtrot arrival.
Let's hit the 2 Foxtrot, descent flight of 100, speedbird 818. And Copenhagen speedbird 816.
816, go ahead.
Yeah, can you just confirm, do you want us to go to Toronto or do you want us to fly the Monarch to Foxtrot? Because these two things are totally unconnected.
Yeah, Monarch 2 Foxtrot via Toronto, I'll join at Toronto.
No, Toronto is the Tesby arrival. Monarch is on the east side of the airport.
Interesting.
Stand by. Copy to right, Tesby.
Good afternoon. Skin David 64 kilo with you, cleared at too low, descending to flight level 280.
Skin David 64 kilo, identified descent flight level 100, you cleared in by 202 Foxtrot arrival. Stand by, speedbird, proceed on present heading. I'll help you down. Set flight of 100 now.
And we don't need help. We can go wherever you tell us. The two things just don't make sense. So we are turning for Toronto. We'll go back to 050 if you want.
Proceed direct Toronto. Get speedbird 8516.
Roger, we are direct Toronto, descending flight level 80.
208 is our minimums.
Easy H6, flight level Foxtrot, contact Copenhagen approach 119
Foxtrot. Skin David 64 kilo.
Easy 86 from Quebec Foxtrot, contact Copenhagen approach 119 decimal 119.8.
Copenhagen 119.8, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
Ryanair 41 Mike, further descent flight level 80.
Descent flight level 80, Ryanair 41 Mike. Low down to 80.
Ryanair 41 Mike, what's your current indicated airspeed?
Currently 272 indicated, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Sorry, Ryanair 41 Mike, you were broken there across a controller message. Say again, your indicated airspeed?
270, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, reduced to 270 or below.
Speed 270 and also speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel.
And Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, you have the traffic on TCAS front right.
Right.
Speedbird 86, correction 816, start your descent at flight level 170 for now.
Speedbird 816, stop descent flight at 170.
So sounds like he's pretty busy. So the mist is straight ahead 500 or 1 DME. Whichever is later. Left 187. Climbing to 3000.
Danish 76 Papa, proceed direct rep.
Victor, Danish 76 Papa.
Ryanair 41 Mike, contact Copenhagen approach 119.8.
Approach 119.8, thanks for the service. See you again later, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Scandinavian.
Copenhagen approach, good afternoon, Ryanair 41 Mike, 738, information Papa. Passing flight level 134, descending flight level 80, inbound Kilo Oscar Romeo.
Ryanair 41 Mike, approach below 125.
So one thing we haven't done is set the QNH, and one was set up the descent forecast. It hasn't really made much of a difference.
And easy 86, Quebec Fox, report speed.
Speed 250 knots, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
Right, maintain.
I think he was getting worried about this guy behind us.
And easy 86, Quebec Fox, descent flight level 70.
Descent flight level 70, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
So we're expecting Tudlow 2 Foxtrot, although we haven't been cleared. Frame rate's still alright.
Easy 86 Quebec Fox, turn left, heading 090.
Left 090, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
So the aeroplane has gone into FMC speed because it's prioritising the speed restriction over.
Copenhagen approach low, identified, reduce your speed 250 knots.
Speed 250 knots, that's the basic security.
And then we're back in the path. So we are in LNAV, we are going to go to heading because we're going to expect 031 outbound. Belts on, lights on, pumps on, don't need that one. Aeroplane's depressurising happily. Yeah, the frame rate's dropped a bit with an increase in world stuff, I think. So we want to track 031.
Right now for 1, Mike 10 right, heading 070, descent flight level 70.
Right, heading 070 degrees, descent to flight level 70, Ryanair 41 Mike.
And easy 86 Quebec Fox, descent 4,000 feet, QNH 1040.
Descent altitude 4,000, QNH 1040, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot.
Northwest 266, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 1040.
So you can use VNAV path, which is just VNAV, but I've switched to level change because I think we're going to get a bit of a shortcut now. So I'm just going to go to these custom points, and that should give us an update roughly of where we are on profile. So we seem a little bit low. So at this point we could maybe reduce to 500 because we're already now, that's the 30-mile ring, we're going to be at 80 there, already a bit low.
Turn left heading 170. Left heading 170, Northwest 266. Run at 41 Mike, confirm speed.
Speed 240 Ryanair 41 Mike.
Okay, thank you, maintain.
Maintain 240 Ryanair 41 Mike. So he's worried about spacing. He will probably struggle to slow down though if we don't get slowed down. But based on our profile, which I've updated, based on what I think we're going to get if we follow that line, we're going to be pretty low.
266, reduce your speed 230 knots.
So hence why we've maintained speed, reduced our descent rate.
Copenhagen, hello, it's coming in 72, shakes to level 136 for 100.
1,000 to go.
So pop these on.
62 calling, hello, identify.
Just one less thing to do, because we will be going into cloud at some point.
Not 266, turn left heading 090. Left 090, not 266. Run F41 Mike, reduce speed 220 knots.
Speed 220, run F41 Mike. Which is good. We'll be able to see.
Run F41 Mike, reduce speed 220 knots.
Reducing, run F41 Mike. So you can see that even at 500 it doesn't come back particularly quickly. So he might want us urgently to do it. A little bit of speed brake.
And EC86, correct Fox, turn left heading 050, reduce speed 230 knots. Left 050, speed 230, easy 86, where approach code.
Just keep updating that, get an idea of where our path is. Let's just be predicting again.
GPS 57 Golf is ready, arrow 120 for 100, inbound are now 1 Foxtrot.
UPS 57 Golf coming, hello, identify.
So, approach, there's quite a few. 845.
Run F41 Mike, further reduce 200 knots, please.
Speed 200, run F41 Mike. So that's going to need flap.
Scan M51 Echo, reduce correction at descent flight level 8,
So, reduce to the flap speed.
Spirit 86 kilo, Tulsa, line heading 120. Turn right heading 120 degrees, Spirit 86 kilo. Spirit 816, turn right heading 15.
Flap 1.
Flight heading 15, sorry, Spirit 816.
200.
Approach Galaxy, Spirit 818 with the descending full flight level 8.
So that's the point at which we start deploying flap.
818, hello. Luton 266, turn left heading 050, descent 4,000 feet. Turn left heading 050, descent 4,000, Northbound 266. AC86 correct, Fox, contact 5, Callsign only, frequency 120.2. 127.2, easy 86, Quebec motion.
So 105 set.
Speed 86 kilo, speed 230 knots. Speed 230 knots, speed 86 kilo. Let's get in 51 Echo, reduce speed 200 knots. 200, scan in 51 Echo. Dodge Hunt 266, confirmed it's at 2,000, correction 4,000 feet. Descending 4,000, Luton 266. 941 Mike, descent 4,000 feet, QNH 1040.
Descent altitude 4,000 feet, QNH 1040, right now, 41 Mike. So level change. Out.
Speed 86 kilo, further reduce 200 knots. Speed 220 knots, speed 86 kilo.
So 4,000 doesn't seem too unreasonable there. I'm not going to use speed brake. But if we need to, we can.
Spirit 818, turn left heading 060, please. Speed 818. Hi, sir. Left heading 060 degrees, speed 818. Scan 51 Echo, continue descent flight, level 70.
So there's 3 different towers on.
Scan 7262 to reduce speed 200 knots. 200 knots, whatever, 7262.
We go into the clouds, anti-ice is on.
Speed 23, correction 220 knots.
Speed 220, UPS 57 Golf.
Spirit 86 kilo, left turn heading 050. Left heading 050 degrees, Spirit 86 kilo. And 86 kilo, continue descent 5,000 feet, QNH 1040. Descent altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1040, Spirit 86 kilo. Copenhagen approach, Speedbird Scandinavian 64 kilo with you, cleared at 8, flight level 80. Scandinavian 64 kilo, hello, identify. Run F41 Mike, turn left heading 040.
Left heading 040 degrees, run F41 Mike. There we go, so that's not much. And it's not far off, I think, where he's going to be taking us to somewhere over there.
Cleared 202 Foxtrot arrivals, Scandinavian
tuned.
120.2, Northern 266.
Spirit 816, turn left heading 090.
Left heading 090, Spirit 816.
Spirit 818, radio speed 200 knots.
200 knots, Spirit 818.
Copenhagen approach, hello, Calum 15, I go with you inbound to Toronto, leaving Toronto on the head radial 089, descending to 80.
Calum 15, echo approach, hello. Ryanair 41 Mike, contact final, Callsign relief, frequency 120.2, bye.
Callsign only 120.2, thanks for the service, great job, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Spirit 818, descend.
FedEx 90965, turn left, heading 280, descend to 3,000 feet. Left 280, descend 3,000, FedEx 90965.
Roger, good afternoon, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Ryanair 41 Mike, final, identified.
1,000 to go.
Callsign 266, turn right, heading 080.
Right 080, Northern 266.
FedEx 90965, turn left, heading 250, clear ILS, runway 22 left, number 3. West 250, clear ILS, 22 left, FedEx 90965.
So I'm not even sure what tower we're going to get given.
ETA 6 Quebec Foxtrot, speed 16 at almost 4 miles, call tower, frequency 118.1, boy.
That's the one we're going to
Tower
get.
118.1, 16024, easy 86 Quebec Foxtrot. FedEx 90965, descend to altitude 2,000 feet. 2,000 feet, FedEx 965. Callsign 266, turn right, heading 130.
Alright, 130, Northern 266.
So we may actually get cut round here, although if he's going 166,
Callsign 266, descend to 3,000 feet, speed 180 knots.
so we can expect the descent and the speed.
Speed 180 knots, Northern 266.
Copenhagen final, hello, your wings 90194.
Your wings 90194, final identified. Swiss 174, turn left, heading 350. Left 350, Swiss 174.
So identified ILS 217.
Callsign 266, turn right, heading 190, clear ILS, runway 22 left, number 3.
Right heading 190, cleared ILS 22 left, Northern 266.
FedEx 90965, speed 16 at almost 4 miles, call tower, frequency 118.1, bye-bye. 16024, contact tower 118.1, FedEx 965, good day. Final, hello, speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel. Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, final identified. Swiss 174, speed 180 knots. Speed 180 knots, Swiss 174. Ryanair 41 Mike, turn right, heading 080.
Right, heading 080 degrees, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Good afternoon, Lufthansa 4 Yankee. Lufthansa 4 Yankee, final identified, speed 210 knots. Reducing 210 knots, Lufthansa 4 Yankee. Swiss 174, turn left, heading 280. Left 280, Swiss 174. Swiss 174, descend to altitude 2,000 feet. Descend to altitude 2,000 feet, Swiss 174.
So, not a bad intercept position from here. Controls just looking good spacing reverse there.
25, so cleared ILS, runway 2 to left, number 3.
Left 250, cleared island.
No.
2 left, Swiss 174.
With that one, so we'll be going a bit further out.
Right now, 41 Mike, turn right, heading 12, so speed 180 knots.
Right, 120 degrees, speed 180 knots, right now 41 Mike. So as this speed drops off, as we pass one, we can drop, that's most efficient. Doesn't use the flaps as a speed brake, but
Monitor vertical speed. Clear of conflict.
flap on, flap 2.
Delta 4 Yankee, speed 180 knots.
As long as you're below the placard, you won't damage them.
4 Yankee.
Right now, 41 Mike, descend to 3,000 feet.
Descend altitude 3,000 feet, right now 41 Mike.
Delta's 266, speed 16 knots to 4 miles, call tower frequency 118.1, bye-bye.
118.1, radio speeds
1,000 to
160
go.
until 4, Delta's 266.
Gear wings 91904, turn left heading 35, so don't.
Gear wings 91904, left heading 350.
Right now, 41 Mike, turn right heading 19, so cleared ILS, runway 2 to left, number 3.
Right heading 190 degrees, cleared, ILS 22 left, Ryanair. 41 Mike. So we have been cleared. We've identified the ILS. Armour localizer. Good timing from him there. We didn't need to descend just quite as quickly.
Descend to altitude 3,000 feet, speed 180 knots.
Gear wings 91904, descending 3000 feet, speed 180.
Localizer capture.
Swiss 174, speed 16 knots to 4 miles, call tower. Oh my god, Swiss 174, speed 16 knots to 4 miles, call tower frequency 118.1, bye-bye.
16024 and 118.1 tower, Swiss 174, bye-bye.
We've been cleared on the ILS, so we can arm approach. Glide slope armed, we'll maintain 3,000. And the mist is 3 anyway. So glide slope alive, and it's 1600 high check. 160 until 4 tower 118.1. Thanks for service. Great job, Ryanair 4, Mike.
Thanks.
So that's probably it's going to need gear.
Gear wings 91904, left heading 250, cleared ILS 2 left.
Speed 6 kilo hotel, turn right heading 130, speed 180.
So that's going to be
Right, 130 degrees, speed 180.
pretty fuel inefficient. Anyway, speed brake armed, water brake 3, gear down,
Speed 81.
3 green. Start switch is continuous, cabin secure. Castrop Tower, Ryanair 4, 1 Mike. Established ILS 22 left, 8 DME 160 until 4.
Right now for 1 Mike, opening approach.
2500.
Continue approach, number 3.
Continue number 3, Ryanair 4, 1 Mike. So we are looking for 1605 DME as our glide slope cross check. If we don't have that, go around. Because in IMC, that will keep you alive. Height first, then distance. You can see here, Rick, here's our VREF speed. You see that don't want to be anywhere near these amber manoeuvring bars, and as we go to higher stage flap settings, they will start dropping down. One of your approaches, he was well in there.
Runway 22 left, clear to land.
Clear to land, 22 left, Swiss 174.
Contract 266, welcome to Copenhagen, taxi via Bravo, hold short runway 30.
This is a funny little island.
Taxi via Bravo, hold short, runway 30, Northwest 266.
FedEx 9965, contact tower 118.57, goodbye.
So it's 160 until 4. Bring it back to 151. Which is our approach speed. So you see there's the manoeuvring dropping off. 25, 151.
Running for 1 Mike, expect late landing clearance, winds 160 degrees 20 knots.
Late landing clearance, copy the weather, Ryanair for 1 Mike. So it'll be a manual go around anyway.
1,000.
Actually, let's go auto brake 2, just so we don't. No, let's leave it at 3. Manual brake if we need to. So,
Approaching 2 left.
Running for 1 Mike, wind 160 degrees 20 knots, 22 left, quick land.
clear land 22 left, Ryanair for 1 Mike.
500.
Copenhagen Tower, good day. Your wings standard 194.
So watching those red and white lights, trying to keep them the same.
194, contact tower, no, continue approach, number 2.
Trying to get the aiming point square and the vision.
Swiss 174, welcome to Copenhagen, taxi
Approaching
holding point
minimums.
Bravo, hold short runway 30.
Taxi to holding point
200.
Bravo and hold short 30.
A little bit low,
Minimums.
continue.
$100. 50. 40. 30.
Close,
20.
hold the attitude.
Contact tower, hello.
Down she
Continue approach,
goes.
number 3. Continue approach, good day, 60 left.
Manual braking,
80 knots.
thrust to idle.
Trans 266, contact tower 118.57.
There's a high speed exit.
Contact tower on
5,000 feet remaining.
Somebody else departing.
174, give way to the Norwegian from your left and contact tower 118.57.
Giving way to Norwegian 737 and contact tower on 118 decimal correction 57.
And your wings down at 194, winds 160 degrees 10 knots, runway 22 left, clear to land.
Your wings down at 194, runway 22 left, descend.
Thanks very much. Ryanair for 1 Mike, vacated Bravo 4.
Runner for 1 Mike, welcome to Copenhagen, taxi via Bravo, holding point, hold short runway 30.
Bravo, hold short 30, Ryanair for 1 Mike.
Switch 174, the Norwegian team chat stopped, just continue taxi holding point Bravo. Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, winds 160 degrees 10 knots, expect a late landing clearance. Roger, Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel.
So I'll get the taxi chart out in just a second.
Two to left, fully established. Last station codes again.
So we're going to go all the way along Bravo. Oh, the chart's not loading up. Let's see if we can get it on here. All the way to Bravo, hold short 30. That's nice and easy. Nobody out there.
Lufthansa 4 Yankee.
Lufthansa 4 Yankee, Patrick Tower, hello, continue approach.
Oh my god, is it busy here.
Lufthansa 4 Yankee.
Zero wings 194, welcome to Copenhagen, taxi holding point Bravo, hold short runway 30.
278 on the landing rate.
194, taxiing Bravo, holding short.
It was only good. It was alright.
FedEx 965.
There's a lot of aeroplanes on their way in.
Go ahead, FedEx 965.
Looks lost.
965, hold position. Hold position. Speedbird 86 Kilo Hotel, winds 160 degrees, 10 knots, runway 22 left, clear to land. Good, land on 22 left, 86 Kilo Hotel.
It's a lot of aeroplanes.
965 after the arriving British Airways A320, cross runway 22 left and call me when clear off runway. Arriving British Airways, cross to the left behind and call you when
10 waiting to go, taxiing down. Chaos. Happy chaos. See all those aeroplanes on their way, and this is where VATSIM's really good. So I'm going to have to put the charts down here because my iPad charts are not working.
Lufthansa 4 Yankee. Continue approach. The
parking stands as
aircraft
well.
was in front of you, disconnected. He might come back, so just watch out for him. But for now, winds 160 degrees, 10 knots, runway 22 left, clear to land. His SIM crashed, he's not coming back.
Yankee, I will end skid land runway to the left.
His SIM crashed, he's not coming back, it's okay. Lufthansa 4 Yankee A from clear to land to the left.
So it's looking pretty busy. Let's get the APU on. Single engine taxi.
Yeah, British Airways just disconnected, but after the arriving Lufthansa plane, cross runway 22 left, call me back. After Lufthansa, cross runway 665.
So we're not crossing an active runway.
Wings 90194, contact tower 118.57.
Wings 90194, 118.57, have a good day.
Ryanair 41 Mike, contact tower 118.57.
118.57, thanks very much for the service. Great job, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Castro Tower, Welling 18 Hotel Alpha Island.
Channel via Alpha to Alpha 4 for Scandinavia 98.
Northern Tower, hello, Wings 90194, holding point Bravo.
Northern 266, contact apron 1219er. Contact apron on 1219er, Northern 266.
Yeah, Wings 90194, hello to you. Turn left on runway 30, vacate right, kilo 3. Yeah, Wings 90194, left on runway 30, vacate
So
right.
APU is on, nice and stable. Shut down engine.
Scandinavian 1 Alpha Hotel out Foxtrot.
Number 1.
Scandinavian 1 Alpha Hotel, hello, cross 30, taxi via Alpha and Alpha 3 to runway 22 right.
Alpha 3 to 22 right, Scandinavian 1 Alpha Hotel, thank you.
Now short 941, contact tower 119er, that's 1350.
Contact tower 119er, now should land for once.
Scandinavian 098, report ready on frequency 119er, that's 1350. Report ready on 19.30, Scandinavian 298.
ET400 holding short at runway 30.
EC400, cross runway 30 and taxi via Alpha 1, holding point 2 right.
Taxi via Alpha 1.
72721, holding short of 30 at Alpha.
Scandi 2721, hello to you, cross 30, continue via Alpha 2, holding point 22 right.
Cross 30 on Alpha and Alpha 2, Scandinavian 2721.
Yeah, Wings 90194, hold short of taxiway Alpha.
Wings 90194, holding short Alpha.
Scandi 1 Alpha Hotel, call tower 11935.
11935, Scandinavian 1 Hotel Alpha.
Ciao, hello Ryanair 41 Mike, holding short runway 30 at Bravo.
Ryanair 41 Mike, hello, cross 30, hold short of Zulu, apron 121.9er.
Cross runway 30, hold short Zulu, apron 121.9er, Ryanair 41 Mike, thanks.
Yeah, Wings 90194, continue taxi, leave kilo 3.
Yeah, Wings 90194, continuing and leaving kilo 3.
So Zulu is the first one ahead.
Report ready on frequency 119er.1350.
119.35 is 400.
Switching to ground tower 118.575, north line of Alpha Romeo, goodbye.
Apron, hello, Ryanair 41 Mike.
Approaching
Crossing runway 30,
1,
hold
2.
short hold short Zulu.
Ryanair 41 Mike. Apron, hello. You can continue via Bravo, Romeo, and Whiskey Hold Short Tango.
Continue Bravo Whiskey, correction, Bravo Romeo Whiskey Hold Short Tango, Ryanair 41 Mike. Bravo Whiskey. Cool. So it's straight ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4th on the right.
Golf, is it correct for the initial climb 5000?
Says Avian 9 Golf, according to the charts, initial climb flight level 70.
Okay, so we saw that the transition level is at 5000, sir.
Ryanair 41 Mike, actually will stand Hotel 101 on Whiskey.
Stand Hotel 101 Whiskey, Ryanair 41 Mike. Okay, I see that. Yep, so still the same way.
174, hold short Mike, I have traffic just pushed. Holding short Mike, Swiss 174.
Let's go back on hello, your wings 901, 904, approaching Kilo 3.
Your wings 901, 904, apron hello, turn left on Kilo, then continue via Juliet, stand Alpha 26.
So we're going to turn right up here.
Wings 901, 904, left on Kilo, then via Juliet, stand Alpha 6.
Charlie 39, yep, good. So next right, as you can see on this chart here, we are coming up, we're going to do a right, go along. It's that one on the left after Foxtrot 9, the first one on the left.
Transavia 9 Golf is fully ready for taxi.
Transavia 9 Golf taxi via Lima, hold short Yankee.
Lima holding short Yankee.
Good to see so many aeroplanes about. When we shut down, I'm going to count them.
Squeeze into Mike. Oh, I think so, yes. Affirmative. Swiss 174. Swiss 174, continue taxi via Mike. Continue via Mike. Swiss 174. Thank you. India Bravo Kilo requesting pushback and start. Last station call sign. India Bravo Kilo 3302 requesting pushback and start. Northtrans 3302, say your stand number please. Yes, I was at Alpha 6 before, but the number of aircraft bumped into me, so I just took another gate, another parking. I think I'm at the general aviation now. Step by. Transavia 9 Golf, continue via
So here is our stand.
Zulu and Alpha, hold short runway 12.
Nobody is on it.
Transavia 9 Golf. 9 Golf, Lima, Zulu Alpha, hold short runway 12.
Lima, Zulu, Alpha holding 12. Transavia 9 Golf. Trans 3086 taxi.
No trans 3086 taxi.
All the best markings.
Yankee, hold short Lima.
Yankee short Lima, no trans 3086.
Or did I pick the wrong ones? Oh, I have no idea. Maybe I should have been over there.
Let's leave it 816.
I'll do this.
Speedbird 816. Apron
2 blues, 1 red.
Bravo Yankee Quebec, stand Charlie 28.
Bravo Yankee Quebec, Charlie 28.
It's dead.
Thank you, leave it 816.
2 hours later, we are on stand.
Taxi via Lima, Zulu and Alpha, hold short runway 12.
Lima, Zulu, Alpha, hold short 12, no trans 3086.
Not trans 3302, push and start approved, QNH 1040. Push and start is approved, QNH 1040.
So let's get the old ground handling on the way. So, ladies and gents, welcome to a very busy Copenhagen. I think it's busier here than it is in reality. We have got stand Hotel 101, 1970, 1920. We have used 2.18 tons of fuel. Well, 137.
Northwest 3212, push and start approved, QNH 1040. QNH 1040, push and start approved, Northwest 3212.
So I said that was listed as a good landing.
117 has done Charlie 29, request push and start.
Acceptable with 278.
117, hold position.
This is us. So remote stand looks like we need to get GPU.
Pushback on the start approved, QNH 1040, Air France 347. Northwest 3086, contact tower 118.457, bye. 18.75, go trans 3050, bye-bye. Go trans 3086, sir.
No, I did get it wrong. Bye.
Swiss 117, expect short delay, I have 2 aircraft pushing behind you.
Okay, maybe I didn't.
No worries, Swiss 117.
I don't think you get much in there. Should have got 102, but never mind. What's this guy want?
Northwest 3302, taxi by Whiskey, Romeo, Yankee, and Foxtrot. Hold short, runway 12.
Could you send up a text to me, please? Thank you.
I see that 818 with the holding short.
So look at just how many there are on the pan. About 5 over here. This guy confused.
Stand by shortly. Beeper 818,
A few over here.
32 by Bravo, Yankee, Quebec.
2, 4, 6, 8, 12. East 14 departures.
Apron, good afternoon, scanning 27 Mike, Delta Bravo 4, push and start.
Just sit here and watch from the tower.
Scandy 27 Mike, Delta, push and start up is approved, QNH 1040.
Push and start approved on 1040, scanning 27 Mike Delta.
Apron, hello. Wellington 18 Hotel Alpha on Kilo 3 holding short of Zulu. Wellington 18 Hotel Alpha, Apron, hello. Lima Juliet, stand Alpha 23. Taxi Alpha 23 via Lima and Juliet, Wellington 18 Hotel
Shame
Alpha.
about the ground textures there. A little bit difference in colour.
Apron, go with Scandinavian 51 Echo Bravo short of Zulu.
Candy 51 Echo, Apron, hello. Bravo Yankee, stand Bravo 19er.
Bravo Yankee to stand Bravo 19 Scandinavian 51 Echo, thanks.
No, I don't want to do that. I want to
And Candy 51 Echo, actually
in
will
the
be
tower.
Bravo 16.
No, it's Bravo 16 Scandinavian 51 Echo.
which I think is pretty cool. Just going to compare it with flight radar at the moment. What's going on in Copenhagen? Not much. Genuinely think it's busier here.
Northwest 3302, when are you going to taxi? Oh, you started now, thank you.
April Ryanair 41 Mike shutting down. Thanks very much for the service, great event.
Ryanair 41 Mike, thanks for flying to Copenhagen. Hope to see you soon again, bye-bye.
Thanks, bye. So, that's, yeah, just crazy. And really good. Lots and lots of departures, lots of arrivals.
Northwest 3212,
Really good.
taxi via Tango and Whiskey Hold Short Sierra. Tango and Whiskey Hold Short Sierra 3212.
Anyway, that is me going to disconnect. Oh, was yeah. So thanks for watching. I hope it's helped. It was fun, busy. Sorry, I couldn't really explain what I was doing. I had to pay quite a bit of attention there. Got behind the aeroplane a couple of points, so didn't have a lot of time to talk through much. But thanks for watching. I'm going to see if I can do a departure later on out of Copenhagen, back somewhere. So hope to see you then. If not, hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much, and as always, please like the video, please subscribe, and see you soon. Bye bye.